First time I met Steve Jobs, I'm not going to get through this. First time I met Steve Jobs as a potential investor coming into the Lasseter computer division. I was the only animator there at the time. In fact, to even hide the fact that our division had an animator, they called me the interface designer. And at that time, in 1984, no one had a clue what an interface was. So, but as Steve came through, he was still working at Apple at that time, and he saw something in this small group of 40 people. He saw something really special, and he came back to the board at Apple and said we should buy Pixar. And it didn't happen, they didn't agree, and soon after that he was fired from Apple, the company he started. Well, it didn't take long for him to open his own personal checkbook and buy Pixar himself. In the beginning, Pixar was a technology company, and I didn't have a lot to do with Steve. Steve would come in to meetings and stuff, but it was about the technology. And at that time, he was brash. He was that mercurial leader that so many people think he was through the rest of his life. He kind of, I think back in those early days, he really did look at everybody's job at Apple or the early days of Pixar and the technology, and he kind of figured he could do their job even better than them. But the first real meeting I ever had with Steve was we wanted to do a short film. And they asked me to come in, and in order for him to fund it, I had to pitch it to him. So I pitched the short film that became Tin Toy. And at the end of, he looked, and he had, the picture up there was pretty much the way he was sitting there, kind of like with his fingers together. He did that a lot, and he would think. And he was looking not at the drawings on the board that I was pitching. He was staring off into the future. At the end of that meeting, he asked me to do something. And it's the only thing Steve ever asked me to do. He said, John, make it great. Tin Toy went on to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film that year. And it was the first Academy Award ever given to computer animation. And it changed the course of the company. He started looking beyond Pixar as being just a technology company. And he started thinking about animation as its future. And he started, we were already doing some technology development with Disney Animation. We became very close with Roy Disney. And he started talking to him about us doing a feature film. And in 1991, we started our first feature film. And it became Toy Story. It was based upon that little short film that I first pitched him, about toys being alive. And I remember while we were in the middle of it, and through all this, Steve and I were getting closer and closer. I lost my brother to AIDS. And Steve became my brother. And we were having dinner one day in the middle of the hardest, part of making Toy Story. And he started looking off again in the distance, he said, you know, John, when I made a computer, we make the computers at Apple. So the lifespan of that computer is what? It's about 3 years. He said 5 years, it's a doorstop. You know, just the technology goes. But he said, if you do your job right, what you create and what Pixar creates can last forever. And he's right. You know, we talked about it, and I thought, he goes, well, think about it. Name another movie that was released in 1938 that is watched today and will be watched as much off in the future for future generations as Snow White and Seven Dwarfs. And he was right. And I was really moved by that. I mean, to be honest, it was hard enough making the movie, and now all of a sudden this whole future thing landed on my shoulders. Thanks, Steve. But he also saw the vision of this new technology. Steve, and during this time, Steve changed. He got married to his wonderful wife, Lorraine. He had his children. He became a family man. And I think that he saw in the artists at Pixar, he saw that he can't do what all those artists do. And during this time away from Apple, he started recognizing the importance and the value, all the creativity of all the other people around him, how great they could be. And he became this unbelievable leader, leading us, challenging us constantly challenging us to shoot way beyond what we thought we could do. Because he believed in us, and he believed in this, and it was always in the service of what's great for families. And so, I'll never forget this day. It's one of the most special days in our relationship. He came to Pixar Special to see me. And he pulled me aside, just the two of us in a room. And he said, Apple has asked me to come back as their CEO. He had recently sold his company next to Apple. And he said, I want to ask your permission to do that. Because Pixar is so important to me. But I want to ask your permission. And I was so touched by this. And I asked him, we talked about it, and he said, the reason why I really need to do this is I feel like the world is a better place with Apple in it. And he's right. And he went back to Apple, and look what he created. It's amazing to be around someone who maybe has had an effect on the world once in their life. But to be with someone like Steve, who changed the world many, many times over. And I think this entire planet, is a better place for Steve. Steve's family, Lorena and their kids, thank you so much for adding Steve to the amazing list of Disney legends. They will cherish this for the rest of their lives. Thank you very much, and thank you to Steve.